Good evening, everyone. It is Monday, the 23rd of May, and 2022. And I think basically what I would like to talk about today is another very important topic on life use. And I'm going to label this video as such so you can refer to the prior video regarding life use. As a quick rundown, if you are not aware of what life use means, it is basically when a parent or the elder party or whoever is the owner of the estate, the house, the land, is getting older and perhaps ill or whatever, and they want to ensure that their children or whoever they want to leave it to cannot have that taken away from them by the state should they become disabled and in a rest home or a facility of that nature. So in Connecticut, as I have said before, I will look this up, but in Connecticut is what I'm going by. You have to have done this, sign this over to the people 5 years before. And if not, the state can still step in and take your assets. Now, the reason I bring up life use is because there was confusion about what life use meant. And I, as I said, assumed that that meant my parents had use of their home for the rest of their lives, depending upon their condition and if they could live at home. And my dad was able to be at home till the night he actually died and had to go to the hospital. But my mother has gone into long-term facility care, and it has come to light, as I mentioned in the other video, that what these people will do, what their job to do, is to find any type of way that they can get funds from you. And by what they're doing there is putting a value upon life use. So even though I am the owner of the house for well over a decade and the land, that life use holds a certain value monetarily, which they will try to get any which way they can. And I will tell you that I would hope in most places it's been done in at least legal manners. Here, in the situation I'm dealing with, we're talking about scare tactics, threats, coercion, lying, and it looks like I probably, from what I've learned, and I try to go by people who actually know the law. I don't know it myself. And looking up something on Wikipedia or Googling it doesn't just answer a question. So both my lawyer, my attorney, and also an attorney that gave me some counsel from Yale. He's a Yale law professor. No, they cannot come and take my home and property from me because this was done, and it is done. But the what I wanted to talk about life use for is that most people that I've spoken with, that I have people that are very close friends that are in my age bracket, and they're dealing with some of the same things with their parent or parents, and they don't know about life use. And here's the reason: you don't need that clause unless you have some reason to believe that whoever you're giving your property to is going to throw you out of the home once you sign it over. Now, it really didn't dawn on me for a while, but the more I thought about it, it it is it was basically the reason this is happening now, and the trouble that I'm having, and so much of the problem is because my father insisted upon this. Now, to be clear, I do not know the position of being, into your 80s and, realizing that you're living your final days and things of that nature. And I don't pretend to know that. I have a similar knowledge because of the illness that I dealt with, and I did have to face my mortality, but luckily things are going well. But my father, it was the type of guy who, he just made things difficult for no reason. Now, let me clarify. Uh, he You don't need to have life use on the house unless you are worried about your child or children or whoever you're leaving it to doing something of that nature. So what's so painful for this whole thing, and I was just speaking with my mother about it, is that, you know, I I took care of him throughout the years, and we've although we have our differences, I mean, there was never any question that this was their home. Yes, they were gracious enough to give it to me and to protect themselves and me and everything, but there was never a chance that I was ever going to do anything of that nature. But my father, being the man that he was, he insisted on it. So now, years later, here, or, since his death in 2020, now it gave the rest home facility an in, a way to have a loophole and try to take, or basically establish a value that my mother has a stake in the home. So more or less, they're just trying to get money that doesn't exist. I mean, the home is the home, the property is the property. There is no liquid assets, so they're just trying to put me into some kind of debt, which I'm not going to allow to happen. And my mother didn't want that, and she doesn't want that. And this is just I think what I'm trying to say is, try to explain to your parents, or that, if they had any thoughts of that, or if that's how your family is, well, I guess then there's a reason for it, and a good one. I mean, you have to protect yourself, but he just have it, see where your relationship is before you sit down and understand what life use means, because these are the things that can happen and really come back to haunt you later. And I fault myself in a sense for not asking, but I did make assumptions. But I also wish my attorney at the time would have been crystal clear about what that meant. And I think it would have even made my father pause before putting that clause on there, because these are the ways that they can get around things, and it's very insidious. But let me say once again, if you do have kids that you don't trust, or that are really just never been close to, or haven't proven that they're loyal or whatever, well, then there's a reason for life use, and I can see where it would come in handy. But anyway, my point is, be aware of what it is. Do look it up. It's very easy to find online as far as the basics. but speak with your attorney in depth about this if you're in this position, so that both you and your siblings, if you have any, or your parents all know exactly what this entails, so down the road you don't run into problems, legal issues with people who are less than moral when it comes to what it is they're doing. Now, on one hand, they're doing their job for wherever they work, and I'm going to hope on the side of positive thinking that most of these people are doing their job because that's what they need to do, and they need to check into things, because we all know there are people who are probably hiding assets and stealing from their parents or whatever. There are people out there who will do this. So I'm not saying there's not a need for it. But in our case, there has been a vindictive and unscrupulous, just unending battle with these people who just refuse to believe that there isn't something that they're missing. And it wouldn't make me so angry if they did not know that while this was going on, I was in chemotherapy. I was in, possible terminal illness of pancreatic cancer. All of the above, they were aware of. So anything that I, made errors on, didn't know about filing certain things, all of this was just basically things that my lawyer was able to help me with. She got everything straightened out, and that's all it was. But they relentlessly and underhandedly did awful things, as down to coercion with my mother, threatening her with things that me going to jail to scare her into things. And I'm not going to dwell on this. I've already spoken about this in other videos. So it's the things that you need to look out for. But I don't personally believe in frivolous lawsuits, and after what I've been through, I don't want to spend my time in court battles and things of this nature. But for the first time ever, I am going to consider some type of legal action against these people, because I don't want to see this happen to anyone else who's may or may not be dealing with this, because it's completely wrong. And they've broken the law, these people. And the reason I say I may is I'm going to ask my lawyer and consult with her, and I'm willing to bet that most of these institutions are extremely well protected from any kind of lawsuit. I will bet that their attorneys have got things pretty well covered, and there's the burden of proof, unfortunately. So what my advice on that is, I tried to keep a log of what was happening. I reported the facility when they were neglecting my mother. I spoke to my attorney about some of their tactics, but in the end, I can't prove, it's very hard to go somewhere and videotape. I was at the point where I was going to try to get cameras in my mother's room, because part of what was going on a while ago was neglect and verbal abuse. But, I don't have video of it. And I made a complaint to the Public Safety Bureau, who comes and checks them out, and they did. But I don't think anything will come of it. They've been cited before, and as soon as I find that it is all right for me to name them here, I am going to name them. I'm going to film them. I am going to go up there and make sure everyone sees the facility. And if I'm able to do all that legally, I'm going to. And I'd like to apologize to the actual people who work there, who are some very, very nice and dedicated people. Some of the physical aides and the nursing staff, they're not all doing this, but the administrative staff there is, boy, what they were told: you go and you get anything you can, any way you can, and without any, there is just no thought of what it is that they're doing to people when they're doing this. So that's it for me tonight. I just pretty much offer great caution if you're in this position. Make sure you do things through your lawyer. It will always benefit you in the long run. That you don't think that you know what you're doing, because you just don't. There's a reason that they have gone to law school and passed the bar, and it is very, full of, it's an ego thing if you think you know yourself, because you don't. So with that, I hope everyone has a good evening, and be very cautious of things if you're in this position, and try to be good to one another whenever you can, as well as yourself. And as I always say, be kind to animals no matter what, because they are better than us and they can't speak, so we have to speak for them. So with that, I wish you all a good night and peace.